일어나려고 열심히 나갔어.
Hello, my name is Carrie Hirsch, and I'm the Social Studies Supervisor in the Department of Teaching and Learning. In this Parent Academy video, we will be discussing how Asynchronous Mondays support instruction and student academic success. Mondays are an asynchronous day to allow teachers additional time to plan to deliver instruction in the digital environment. Teachers continue to convert hard copy materials into the digital format, learn how to use digital apps and resources, troubleshoot access issues, and determine how best to support and instruct students without the benefit of physical proximity and the tangible materials that they might be used to having in their classrooms. Teachers are continually adapting and developing new instructional materials, and so the additional planning time on Mondays is essential. On Mondays, teachers also meet with their collaborative learning teams to monitor student progress, as well as to develop interventions and enrichment activities for students. 3 APS teachers will be joining us in our discussion today. All 3 of them will be sharing their perspectives about how that additional planning time on Asynchronous Mondays allows them to support teaching and learning. Can you describe what a typical Asynchronous Monday is like for you?
Hi, my name is Rachel von Elmendorf, and I am an 8th grade science teacher at Thomas Jefferson Middle School. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my Asynchronous Monday. At the very beginning of the day at 8 o'clock, an announcement goes out to all of my students, and it tells them what the day is about. So for my course, I have a module every week, and the modules run from Tuesday through Friday. And each module focuses on the 5 E's, which is a really great science teaching and learning strategy. And it centers on a topic. And on Monday, the announcement for students says, hey, this is a recap of the week. Here's what you learned. Here's what you need to do for the day. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, their announcement tells them to make sure they finish the module for the week. And the Asynchronous Monday assignment for students is always a short quiz. And that quiz is on Canvas, and the quiz actually grades itself. So I type up the questions in advance. I put feedback in there, feedback if they get it right, feedback if they get it wrong. And on Monday, students start with that. They review the whole module, all their learning for the week, and then they take the quiz. And after they take it, they're able to see their answers. They can see the feedback, see what they got right, see what they got wrong, and then they can take it again. So they have 2 tries. So that's how that day begins. After they complete the quiz, in that announcement, students always have what's called an enrichment or an extension activity. And those assignments are totally optional, and they're meant to be creative. They're meant to be off screen. So in past weeks, I've had scavenger hunts for kids to look for different energy sources in their homes. I've also had documentaries that maybe they can watch. Maybe it's a challenge to build something or to investigate something. So each week that's given to the students, and that's how the day begins. So that goes out, and then usually students have some questions. They have some messages that they send me, so I answer those. And then at 8:45, I log on for my office hour. From 8:45 to 9:45, myself and all the science teachers at my school, we have office hours on Teams, and students can check in if they want for any reason. And I also invite students to come see me then. So during my office hour, I usually focus on students that may be struggling, or maybe they've been missing assignments or assessments, and I make sure that I can catch them up and make them feel confident. So hour, I usually keep engaging in communication. So I often reach out to the counselor and we touch base about students. I often call home, check with students and their families and document that. And I also send updates often to parents during that time. So my mornings are really spent, just communicating with kids. And they are spending that day really making sure that they have finish their assignments for the week, but really self-assessing their learning, making sure that they can complete the quiz. If they can't, they go back and look things up. And then oftentimes they'll engage in that extension activity if they feel like they are ready for it. So then I have lunch. And after lunch, I actually meet with a small girls group. So we usually meet for an hour or an hour and a half in the afternoon. We started just after Thanksgiving. And these are some girls that I think just really got off to sort of a rough start with the technology and the distance learning, and they were not feeling so good about themselves. So I decided to get a group together. We meet on Teams. We just chat about how we're doing, and then we really get started on the week ahead. So I really tried to take away a lot of the anxiety from those big assignments. We talk about growth. We talk about areas that we're doing well. And the girls themselves really help each other and support each other with those assignments. So that's something that we call an intervention. So that's a group of kids that need a little bit more. So I use my time to really give them that support and really help them in all of their classes. And then after that, depending on the week, I usually spend my afternoons in planning. So really none of my lessons that I've used in the past, though I love them and I thought that they were effective, none of them work for distance learning. So labs don't work, nothing really hands-on work. So I have to actually like create everything again. So that's been a challenge. But it's also been good because I have lots of different people that I collaborate with. And I've really been able to use those Mondays to create different unit plans and lesson plans, and to figure out different teaching strategies that will work in this new format. So at least once a month, I meet with my CLT, so all the 8th grade science teachers at my school. We meet and we focus on our IB unit planners. At Jefferson, that means, what's really our content, what's our focus. For example, we decided for our matter unit this year, since we can't measure like we usually do, we can't do a lot of labs, we decided that we would focus on plastic pollution. So we created a project, we created all new assessments, all new learning activities that would fit with distance learning, and we work on that 1 or 2 Mondays a month. I also have 3 co-taught classes. So those are classes with special education students that require additional support. And I have 3 different adults in those classes. So I often need to collaborate with them as well. So I often meet with what I call my co-teacher. And we talk about the modules, the lessons that I have planned. And we work through ways to make them more accessible to students that may be having difficulties. And we just bounce ideas off of each other, which is really, really, really valuable. Sometimes I also collaborate with teachers from other schools. So there's a great group of 8th grade science teachers, and we like to help each other. So that's really beneficial. We also have a lot of professional development. So at least probably once every 2 months, that afternoon we'll also have some sort of course that I'm taking or class that I'm engaged in, to really just learn a skill to really apply to my teaching and my learning. So my Mondays are really packed, as I'm sure they are for the students and all the other teachers, but every single moment of it is spent supporting students, supporting teaching, supporting learning. And I think what I like best about it is the flexibility to keep it really, really, really personalized. And to have that opportunity to make sure that every child and every family, has an adult available and that we can really meet their unique needs.
Hi, my name is Sean Jones, and I am the Exemplary Project Coordinator at Oak Ridge Elementary. Today I'm going to be talking to you about our Monday asynchronous work, how we came about it, and what it looks like for our students. So initially, our Monday work was created by the homeroom teachers. It ended up being reading work and math work. The students would work on it for a few hours, submit it, teachers would grade it. Wasn't very interactive. Students were not big fans because it was just kind of them sitting in front of a screen and doing some problems or just reading and answering some questions. Parents were not a fan of it, and teachers weren't a fan of it. They wanted to create something more meaningful, something that the students could really engage with. I was approached by the reading and math coaches from my school, and they were wondering if I could help them come up with a cross-curricular, non-routine problem-solving opportunity for students. And interestingly enough, I was teaching the engineering design process to my students, and our Monday projects became part of that process. So the engineering design process starts with an ask or a problem. Someone asks you to create something, or they say that this is the problem, we need a way to fix it. So after being approached, I started brainstorming or imagining different solutions for Mondays. We came up with this idea for the non-routine problem solving, and then we began to plan it out. From the planning phase, we go into a creation phase, and then from creation, we go into improvement. And it's something where we keep looking back, seeing what's working, and then we try to improve what we have to make it more seamless. So we really wanted something tangible for the students, a real opportunity for them to think critically, to be creative, to work on their communication skills, and then, if possible, their collaborative skills, which through the virtual learning is more accessible to some than others. These are projects that they're open to do with their family or pod friends, whoever is immediately available with them. So I'm going to walk you through what it looks like. Right here, you can actually see that I am on a 5th grade Canvas page. So this is actually what all of the 5th grade pages look like. They have the exact same setup. When I scroll down, there is a button for Monday work. When students click the button from kindergarten through 5th grade, it takes them directly to my page. The exemplary project at Oak Ridge is actually called Mosaic. So this is the Mosaic page that the students would see on Mondays. They click on their grade level. And here you can see that I have 3 buttons in here. This week's work, past week's work, and then I have a science button because I am the science lead at Oak Ridge, and I do push in for science lessons. So they engage on this page on Mondays, and then during the week when I do synchronous lessons, they may engage here as well. So the way that it's set up, when they click on this week's lesson, the very first thing that they see is a read aloud. So we wanted to tie in STEM non-routine problems with some sort of literature. We also have been branching out to bring art into it. So it's like a stream model. So the kids are able to click play.
Written by Emily Grousman.
We have different people
Illustrated.
who do the read alouds each week. The students can watch both if there's 2, or they can watch the one. They don't have to, but we find that most students do like to listen to the story. And then after they're done with the story, there is a Google slide that's embedded into the page. So the student would be able to go through this Google slide
So last week we
and
focused
see
on
what their
coding,
project is.
which is all about.
I purposely read directions because we have a large EL population at Oak Ridge, and then I also want to be conscious of our younger students who are still developing their reading skills. So I read the directions to them. It plays automatically in the slide so that it's more accessible for our learners. So this week was all about tessellations. The 2 stories were tessellation and toads and tessellations. And students were going to make a tessellation about winter, since winter is starting in a week. So it goes through the materials that they need, the steps that they can follow, in this one specifically.
Now,
And then they have an opportunity to submit it by clicking on the link. If they have any trouble accessing the Google Drive, I also take screenshots of all of the slides so that students can look it over, or sometimes they want to look at more than one slide at a time, and this kind of gives them the opportunity to check more than one slide at a time. So again, this is something that they would then turn in by clicking on the link, which is found underneath the stories. That's what a typical Monday looks like. Kids will click on my Canvas page, they'll listen to a story, they will read what the project entails, and then some kids spend a few hours creating something, some kids spend an hour making something, and then they send it to me.
this is when the feedback loop really starts. A lot of students will submit their work through Canvas with the assignment that I will personally go through, mark off that students have done, and then give them some initial feedback. But they also send a copy to their teachers in their inbox, and their teachers start the dialogue. Because, like I said, Tuesdays and Wednesday morning meetings are designated to talk about the asynchronous projects for students to learn from each other and for feedback to be given. And it gives the students an opportunity to kind of communicate what they learned, how they can improve it, and different things that would normally take place when we look at the engineering design process. So I personally look over projects on Mondays, but then I also meet with administration as well as the reading and math coaches to talk about future week projects. I generally record the read aloud for the following weeks. We take feedback as well from students and parents and teachers on how the project went the previous week and what we can do to make it even better for the future projects. So Mondays are kind of spent prepping for the next one, as well as starting the feedback loop for the one that is currently going on.
Hello, my name is Ann Capero. I teach forensic technology at the Career Center as well as dual enrolled biology 101 and 102 from Nova and human anatomy and physiology 141 from Nova. I am going to answer questions about asynchronous Mondays and how I use them. So first, the first question is what a typical asynchronous Monday looks like for me. I have office hours twice a day. I have my CTE office hours for forensics at 8 a.m. from 8 to 9. That's a very I want to say inappropriate, but that's probably not the right word. It's a very tough time for students to come. Even my best students are usually rolling out of bed somewhere around 9. So I get a lot of emails that day, as opposed to them actually coming to actually showing up at the office hour. I have a second office hour at 2 p.m., and that office hour is for my science classes. And I usually schedule study sessions during that time, and those study sessions are for upcoming tests. Because that is dual enrolled, those classes are dual enrolled, it is very important that those students get a lot of help with regard to studying. So that is what I do with my office hours. Um, Typically, on a typical Monday, I have a lot of planning to do. I have grading to do. I may have an IEP to attend, an IEP meeting to attend. I sometimes have meetings based on um, immediate needs. Sometimes we have meetings with a grade unit in particular. And so that is usually what a typical asynchronous Monday looks like. I don't have a lot of downtime because I have so much that I have to get done. Now, the next question is, how does having this time support instruction? Well, I'm able to preview videos. I'm able to find online laboratories. I'm able to set up. I use a Pearson ebook in my dual enrollment classes, so I'm able to set up the activities in Pearson that the students can go to help them learn the content. And that is very important because otherwise I'd have to do this all on Sunday. So it is extremely important that I have it to be able to do that. I always want to preview assignments that I do. I never want to assign something to a student that I haven't previewed, seen the answers to, checked on. So it's really important for me to have. And of course, the tasks that I have to do involve a lot of preparation. The dual enrollment classes, both of my dual enrollment classes, have a large amount of students in them, and both of my forensics classes have a lot of students in them. So there's a lot of grading to do. Task wise, it is a big day for me to set up my planning for the week and figure out what not only do I need to assign, but preview what I'm going to assign, make sure it's all up on Canvas with the appropriate links, and then try everything out myself, um, and then set up when I need to have things graded. So in terms of using like a lesson plan book like we used to use way back in the day when I started, um, it's a day that I use to like set up a lesson plan book. If I and by the way, I actually do have a lesson plan book, um, but I sync that with the computer, and that has to be done on Monday. Otherwise, I have to do that in the evening, which really doesn't work well for me. Because by then I'm really pretty exhausted, or I have to do it on a Sunday. And sometimes I do end up doing it on a Sunday. Um, I end up starting it on a Sunday, but it never works to have Sunday as the end of the week for me. Because then I'm hopelessly lost in terms of what I have to get done. If I leave things till Sunday, I've forgotten responses students have made. I've forgotten things like that. So Mondays are really, really good for laying everything out. And not only what I'm going to do in class, but when I'm going to grade papers, etc. So I think maybe if this is helpful to whoever's watching, it's not only important to just set up what you're going to put up there for students, but when you're going to address it as a teacher in terms of feedback.
For more information about asynchronous instruction, please visit the Arlington Public Schools webpage. Thank you.